Are you wanting to get into the textiles industry? I'm here today at the Bolton Degree Show where I was a graduate in 2024, and I'm here today to see the Textiles and Service Design Show and hopefully get to speak with one of their designers. Come with me! The creative show at the University of Greater Manchester in Bolton is usually on between the 9th until the 20th of June for 2 weeks in Stenate House and can be found this year in the atrium. So I'm here with Izzy, one of the textile students at the Bolton Degree Show. So Izzy, can you tell me a little about your project?
Primarily it is about the movement and fluidity of water and how I can replicate that with fabric and fabric manipulation, embroidery, embellishment, and it ended up being about how I can turn all of those skills into a garment. My primary inspiration was looking at the way that fit and creates other patterns, like all the ripples and everything, the way that it looks almost lace-like. About partway through the previous project, where I realised that I wanted it to be a fashion-based piece because I have experience working with costume, with garments and everything, and I knew that that was the kind of direction I'd be going in post-grad. So I was like, I think it would be invaluable for me to be able to cater my project towards that. It was a day at the beach. I had a waterproof camera and spent all of my time in the sea looking at the surface of the water, textures underneath it, looking at the way that light reacts with water, and it was then that I moved on to looking at the way that the light reflects off of it to make its own patterns. I entered Bradford Textiles competition. There was one category in particular that I felt really suited my project. It was all about digital embroidery and how you can mix that with a whole load of other techniques. Even if nothing comes out of it, that's a whole load of other companies and that's a whole industry that then will know about me. So it's all really valuable.
Going into that a little bit more, what designers inspire you?
In this project in particular, a lot of my inspiration came from Zimmerman and Zuhair Murad and Alexander McQueen, and looking at the way that they get inspired by nature and how they create those kind of like fluid looking dresses, and watching their runways and how their fabric then reacts to movement. But in general, I would say Dior and Oscar de la Renta have always been some of my favourites, and they've always been a big inspiration in what I do and the amount of like detail that I put into everything, because that's the sort of thing that I love.
And I heard you were part of the Wicked production, and I've got to ask you about it. What was your role and what did you do?
So I was a trainee on the costume team. My official role was trainee embellisher / embroiderer, but I did a bit of everything. And that's always going to be part of being a trainee, is they want to test you on everything. They want to test if you're going to say yes to things, because even if it's not something that you specialise in, you should always say yes to things. Yeah. If they ask you to do something, even if you don't know how to do it, you can say, I've not done that before, but if you show me how you want it doing, I can give it a go. And it's that sort of attitude towards work that they really look for.
And I've got to ask this, Tuan and Jessie were the leading digital embroiderers on the production. What was it like working with them?
Yeah, they were really lovely. I mean, everyone on the team was really amazing to work with, because you don't really think about it, but going into there, especially as a trainee, you're suddenly part of this amazing team that are all like real masters of their craft. You know, they've been working towards these jobs. There's a reason why they're junior, senior makers. It's because they've been doing it for so long and they've really like honed their craft.
Yeah.
So that in particular was just amazing, especially like watching them and sizing up the machine that we have in uni, which is like teeny tiny compared to the massive ones there that were like an entire room.
What advice would you give to somebody wanting to go into the film and television industry?
I would 100% recommend a foundation, especially if you know that you want to be creative. It's free to do a foundation year, so especially if you're just coming out of A-levels and you know that you want to be creative, you just don't know what, that's a great thing to do to really help you get into the mojo of it, like learn a lot. Even though I didn't go down these routes, I learned so much, like CAD and graphics and photography, illustration, all of that kind of stuff, a lot of fine art. I didn't know that I wanted to study textiles until deep into my foundation year. I knew that I wanted to do something creative, I just didn't know what. And I'd always been around costume and sewing because of my mum and my grandma, but it wasn't until the foundation I realised this is actually something I could do, working on costume and getting to work on that extravagance and everything that you don't get out of, normal everyday clothes. For the industry in particular, it really is about getting your foot in the door. That first job that you have, you've got to be saying yes to everything. You've got to really kind of put your best foot forward and really project yourself. This is the best way I can describe it. You've got to be there and be present and be showing them how valuable you are to the team.
Some of the highlights of the show included the Rooted Heritage collection by Maisie Finn, based on all the architecture and florals of Astley Hall. The Natural Elements collection by Sarah Boon, based on moss, wood and digital embroidery. You can really feel inspired by the endless possibilities of textiles and embroidery. And the Glasshouse collection by Emily Goulding, all about florals and botanicals. It really is great to come out to shows like this and see all the different techniques being explored, like digital embroidery on this textural fashion piece by Monica Joy.
So if there's a degree show near you, then it's definitely worth a visit. Stay curious and keep connected. And if you like what you see, then follow me for more.